Welcome to Circuit Breakers, hot off the tails of the Portland ePrix. My name is Dallas, my co-host is Taylor, and we are freshly bathed, freshly cleaned off of a very hot, very sweaty doubleheader in Portland. Taylor, Portland ePrix, it was an absolute blast.
Frankly, I'm so sad that this is not coming back next year because it feels like this is like a premier space for the West Coast to host a race. Probably not the most like glamorous, but the reality is that they know how to host a damn good race. You know, when you got grandstands all the way down that start-finish straight that are full, that's a good sign of the health of this. Yes, we are biased because we're Pacific Northwest boys from a state just north of Portland. It takes us 3 hours to drive there, but like the thing that Portland actually offers really, really well that I don't think any other venue is really going to offer in the States is that it's so accessible. Like literally, it's accessible from the north. It's accessible from Northern California. Like you can get to Portland. You can find a reasonable place to stay. You can find some of the best food in the West Coast. And you have this incredible prepared track that offers easy commute to get to and from, plentiful parking. Like it's a fantastic venue.
A broken parking system too. All I'll say is
don't tell him, don't ruin it for everyone.
All I'll say is parking was a little shady in favor of the fans. And also to add to that point, the slapdicks that are deciding the city organizers in Portland made a big-brained idea to close the main artery that runs all the way from the Canadian border down to the Mexican border. They closed a section of it during this weekend. And even with that being said, super easy to get to, super easy to get out of, super easy to get to our destination, back to the track, and then back home. Yeah. It's they have to bring it back. And for the spectacle that was put on, for me personally, topped the experience from the single round last year for a multitude of reasons. We weren't doing this show last year. We were in this goofy, hyper niche fantasy league, and we went to go see some racing. But being here this year as members of the media, which by the way, I'm wearing, I can't tell if you're wearing, I'm wearing the What the Fuck is a Kilowatt Hour shirt. Those shirts are available in black and then in the cream. We were planning on giving these out. We had 10 of them, 12 of them to give out. And we were just kind of caught up in just the motion of it all. It felt like, last year I remember I got there right after qualifying and it was 2.5, 3 hours before the race. I'm thinking like, what the hell are we going to do for 3 hours? We're just going to sit around. And once we actually got inside like the fan village, it's like, oh, there are a lot of things to do. They had the sim racing thing that I didn't do last year and I didn't want to do this year because there was just a huge line for it. I want to mention Gigantic Brewing. We did have I'd say pleasure, but it was more the obligation to try this It's On IPA.
Boy, it's a can of Pine Sol, unfortunately. There's IPAs and then there's It's On IPA, and that is certainly on something.
I was thinking of just dumping the majority of it because when we got them, I was going to the second autograph session. I'm like, I could just dump this out and just hang on to the can. But I finished it. I was a good boy. It was hot though. It was muggy. It was gross. But the atmosphere was fantastic for everyone except one driver that we were so disappointed of the news once we heard, especially you, Taylor.
We had a bit of a speed bump happen in one of the championship bids from Oliver Rowland, who apparently got a little too sick to even be let on the airplane. He didn't even make it stateside, which is that's a bad place to be. He's getting dysentery on the Oregon Trail. Are you fucking kidding me? Oliver Rowland got dysentery on the Oregon Trail. Who could have? You can't write this stuff, Dallas. I was like, man, I wanted to see Ollie tear up Portland. This is 2 years in a row he hasn't raced at Portland now.
We have coined the term on the show all season long when a driver does not finish. But all of those diarrhea no finishes, at least they started the race. So Taylor, I think we have to give Ollie a first ever diarrhea no start.
There's a certain bowel movement that forces you to miss out an entire race weekend and potentially your championship. And that is not one any of us want to experience. So the first ever DNS, diarrhea no start.
Now, the good news is, at least at this point, we're still, 3 weeks out from the season finale in London. Initial reports say that he should be back in action. He's getting his electrolytes. He's straight mainlining liquid IV. He should be back for London.
Of all weekends that he could have potentially shit himself to death, this apparently was the proper weekend to do it, because he has missed 2 races entirely and has barely moved in the title championship. Like he is still, like, he is no further away from Nick Cassidy than he was starting this weekend. So that's a good place to be. Real foreshadowing for the conversation we're about to have about the pair of Kiwis and what's going on over there. But this was an important weekend for the championship, Dallas.
Yeah, and how it played out. Now, the one good thing about this race, incidents, everything that went on, is we didn't have any wrist injuries, and that could be potentially thanks to this new wrist guard glove that is going to go into effect, a required piece of equipment, a fashionable attire starting next season. But Sam Bird over Robin Frijns tested these wrist protectors this weekend.
You know, it is, I think, a big statement to the race to know that it doesn't matter the wrist protection. If you have surgically reinforced wrists like Frijns, you're going to have an advantage over the gloves at this point. And Sam Bird, same surgery, gloves, where is he? Robin Frijns, surgery, no gloves, double P2s.
Maybe it's like a waiver. If you have reinforced Mexican steel in your wrists, you don't have to wear these gloves. We'll find out next season.
Do you think Frijns has, like, on the bar, it just has like made in Mexico on the steel, like, thing, holding his hand together?
Oh yeah, when he goes through TSA and goes through that machine where he has to stand to the side and it spins and scans.
Yeah.
If you enhance that image, it says, what is it? HO Mexico? Whatever made is. I don't know my Spanish too well. But let's move on to practice and quali for this weekend. The big takeaway from this is what Ollie Rowland's very capable, at least from a health and not ill standpoint, what Sasha Fenestraz did in one of the practice sessions.
Yeah. I said it earlier when we were doing our grid prediction episode that I think Nissan is going to be cowards. They're not going to sack Fenny. I think after this weekend, Fenny's toast. I mean, he lit that Nissan seat on fire with a fat repair bill in early Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Imagine, like, 5, 6 a.m., you see this kid smash the front of the car, both tie rods, and you're a mechanic, and you're like, all right, great. Quali's in 3 hours. Let's build a race car. Like, it's not like Lego pieces, you know? It's not like they got, like, little instruction manual, just put it all back together. Like, you got to put it back together and make it perform. Like, it's not just, you don't have a practice session now to dial the car in. You don't get to run it on track and make sure everything's in the right, like, in full balance, right? It's not fun for those engineers. And I'm guessing that if I was a Nissan race engineer, I'd be like, thank God we're sacking this guy at the end of the year. Because a freaking toddler named KO Collette came in and beat Fenny on both counts, too, throughout the race weekend. Kid had literally zero preparation for this. The only time he spent in a Formula E car was during the rookie test, 3 months ago now? Like one testing session. He didn't even get to do sim work on the track prior to the event. So like he literally raw dogged this whole experience and did a better job than Sasha Fenestraz did this race. So frankly, I feel like this potential sacking is actually well deserved because it's not looking good at this point in the season. If you have barely scored points, barely showed up in a race, and then completely like an Uber rookie, literally an Uber rookie came in and took your lunch money, you know?
I'm looking through the little cards we got from the autograph session. I thought I got everyone. I guess I subconsciously skipped over Nissan. I don't have Nissan cards. I don't have Fenestraz and I don't have Collette, and I don't think they deserved it.
Well, when we walked past, KO Collette had some, but he looked like a frightened squirrel. He had like 2 or 3 people hanging out around it, but like he looked off kilter, and his little card that he had up looked like it was made that morning. You know, like it was a bizarre overall experience, and Sasha was nowhere to be seen. So I don't know what the deal was, but frankly, disappointing. If Oliver Rowland was there, line out the door. It was over the bridge.
Okay, let's move on to the race, the nitty gritty, the meat and taters. This first race, Jaguars neck and neck, and the nice guy Nick got a little frisky.
This weekend was worst case scenario for Jaguar. Like literally worst case scenario for the entire Jaguar racing outfit. And weird thing was, it was the first time we ever saw a self-inflicted wound on Nick Cassidy by literally just blowing his championship open on an unforced error, like his own error. Completely tanking it on the second to last lap. If he had rounded that bend, kept it together, this title championship would be all but in the bag for him, I'm sure. But it had huge implementations for the championship, Dallas. Like this weekend was Cassidy ripping defeat from the jaws of victory. And it essentially encouraged everyone else in the title fight to now engage. Like, if he had won these, completely discouraged them from feeling like they really had the full shot at winning the title. But he essentially handed them a full steak dinner on a plate, said, I'm not taking any points this weekend. It's up to you boys. Fight amongst yourself. I am going to essentially cry in the back as I spiral into these moments of frustration. And like, we're going to get some wild scenarios later, but there's a lot more potential that can go wrong for him now than ever before. Like I'm getting flashbacks to last year's XL, and I'm frankly, it's Jaguars championship to lose at this point. And so I'm going into this just assuming Jaguar is going to win so that I will be surprised when they don't.
Yeah. Because last year, we saw Nick Cassidy gets knocked out. He goes back to the garage, very polite. That's how he got the moniker, Nice Guy Nick. He just, signaled to the cameras like, hey, please just give me a moment. I just lost the season. If something like that happens again, he's smashing lenses. We're going to see the New Zealand Hulk come out, and
he's gonna fucking shoot someone.
It's gonna
go postal.
It's gonna be gnarly.
It's fucked up, man. He's gonna be he's gonna quit the championship.
Yeah, that's it. He's going to walk out. He's going to take off his racing suit.
He's like, fucking put me in jail. Yeah. I'm shooting James Barclay in the chest.
Now, we've been talking about all season, and, up until a little bit Shanghai, we were thinking, Mitch Evans is the second favorite kid in this brotherhood at Jaguar, with Daddy James Barclay just being as biased as ever. Like, Nick Cassidy is our guy, and it's kind of slowly over these last few rounds kind of flipped the other way. Now, what is hilarious to me is, right, we started this show at the beginning of this season. We've been working on getting traction, and to see everyone that was out in Portland, you could argue that all of them were there to see Formula E in some way or another, whether they knew nothing about the sport and they're like, oh, that's cool, electric formula cars, or they're like us and just as invested and entrenched into all the drama and the developments and everything. The fact that we're still very, very small fries and aren't going to get recognized by the names in the sport is a great old advantage, because after the second race, after the celebration ceremony, you had to take a piss. I had to get water so I could piss later. As I'm coming back from grabbing water, I spot someone just a little bit off in the distance, and I hightail it over to you. I get within like 50 feet. I'm like, Taylor, come here, come here, come here, come here. You start walking, you catch up with me. I'm like, it's James Barclay. Let's go get a photo with him. And so we walk up, we ask him for a photo, and he has no idea that we have created this narrative of trying to pick a favorite child. He was just very nice, very kind to pause for a moment to take a picture with some American fans who just maybe recognized him from the television. Who knows? But the between the lines, this was one of my favorite experiences. I have it up on the screen. Is just running into the man that is trying to pull all the strings to, at this point, we don't know. Prefer Nick Cassidy win this championship?
And prior to this photo, that smile is plastered on. He was pissed. Like he was not at a good spot prior to that. These two fucking like dorks in these dumb shirts run up to him. Hey, can we take your picture, James Barclay? Yeah, sure. Just put it on, wish him luck. That was the end of it. But, like, frankly, my favorite photo of the whole championship. Like, every driver, that's one thing. You get the team principal, that's the moneymaker. I'm telling you now. For all we know, this could be the last time James Barclay is seen smiling for the rest of his life. Because he blew it again with Nick Cassidy.
London's about to be so spicy. And one of the drivers who really spice it up, who I'm so happy with because he's been on my fantasy team all year and he hasn't done a whole lot until recently, was Antonio Felix da Costa. We've referred to him earlier as Antonio Human da Costa because he was Pascal.exe, the AI driver's human trainer. That's what we thought his role was. And all of a sudden he's shown up. He's been putting points on the board. What is it? Four out of the last 5 races he has podiumed at P1. He's won those races. Berlin, the second race at Shanghai, and then both races in Portland. I did at the session, had to ask for a selfie with the man, and that was before he secured his second win that weekend. The dude is on fire. I think the age of AI, the dawn of AI is coming, but it's not here yet. Pascal is going to have to step aside and let the humans do all the skillful racing because this dude was on fire. And after his first win in Portland, they were interviewing him and he's taken these jabs at what happened in Misano, what we dubbed the Misano curse. I think at this point, the only thing that is cursing Misano is Misano itself because they didn't get the renewal for next season.
Had that damper spring not been found, maybe that was the thing holding his performance back this whole time. Maybe that spring, well, he lost one race for 3 victories, right? It's a one. What happens if like one of these victories got revoked because of that damper spring? At this point, I kind of feel like it's a blessing of Misano.
Yeah, and if he comes out of London, very slim chance, but if he comes out as the champion, it will be 100% confirmed. Yep. The blessing of Misano.
Yeah. Blessing of Misano.
I think we should just...
Crazier things in this series have happened.
Indeed.
Than Da Costa winning on an absolute hot streak. There's a lot that needs to happen, but frankly, like the way that he's driving, the confidence he has, like I'm liking the sound of it more than I'm imagining it bewildering.
Well, and I think what we need to do too, if he achieves the near impossible as like an homage to just a crazy comeback as a season, we just need to go out and buy throttle dampening springs and just have them, frame them, cast them in epoxy, whatever.
I need him to sign a spring.
Yeah, which that's one thing that we missed out on in the autograph session. I don't even know.
I will take a resin cast spring through whatever TSA. I don't care what the fucking flight luggage fee is. I will get a spring to Da Costa to sign. I don't care. I'm ready. Whatever stakes, whatever it takes, I will make it happen.
Well, fingers crossed for you, Antonio. The other surprising performance just from this weekend, especially from what we saw on the pits, was Robin Frijns showing up, and Antonio did P1, Robin Frijns P2. Frijns
has a bit of a fragile race seat, as we know right now. Fragile wrist, fragile race seat. We did the little paddock walkthrough for autographs and everything, and when we went to that Envision garage, Dallas, they were not looking excited. They look like puppies on the way to the pound. And after seeing the energy, like feeling the energy from those two on that first day pre-race, I was like, ooh, they're just gonna do a fire sale on the whole driver, on both drivers.
Yeah, like when we were walking down the paddock, they were at the very end, and I swear there was like a dark cloud looming with purple lightning bolts as the dark magic was swirling. It didn't look happy, and yet Robin Frijns, he's able to just sign deadpan and then go out in P2 both days.
Yeah, Sebastian Buemi looked like he was about to cry. Like he looked like he was ready to cry. And mind you, they're at the end of the paddock because they won first place last year, Dallas. The team won first place. That's why they're in the first position on the paddock. They're the furthest away from everyone. It's like, what is this? What is this story that has uncovered itself, you know? But boy, it was a heart-wrenching autograph session for those two from what I was feeling. So,
you know the feeling when you have something cheeky to say and you might get an eyebrow raise, and then those little devil and angel hops on your shoulder. That's what I was dealing with walking up to their garage, because I was like, oh, there's Buemi. I'm going to ask him if they're going to run banana in this race. And then as we're getting closer in line, I see them, and I'm like, are you sure this is a good idea?
It turns the whole kick around. Oh my God.
I'm not going to say anything. Banana was fun and lighthearted at the beginning of the season in Diarrhea. I don't want to get punched by a vampire.
They did have the umbrella out for him, which was nice. They had him under the umbrella, you know.
What's up, you E-heads? It's that time of the show for you to get off of the racing line and into attack mode to give this show a boost. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening on an audio platform, head on over to YouTube at Circuit Breakers Pod and do the very same thing. It gives us that algorithmic boost that really gets our wheels turning. So thank you. And back to the show.
The Andretti boys, they seem to be having an absolute blast this weekend, considering they were absolutely nowhere on track. which was pretty cool. That was exciting. I mean, Norman Nato had a really great qualifying session. I don't know if you remember, but race one, he qualified P2.
Yep.
But he's a little bad boy, and they gave him a 10 place grid penalty for his naughty little antics on track over the past several races. I have no clue, but he beat Jake both races. But he's still not good enough. I think it might be a struggle for him the rest of the season. He really had to make it click this weekend. I don't know if he did it in a way that Andretti was seeking.
Well, their paddock, them lined up. They were happy. They were blaring music. They had the red, white, and blue Star Spangled Banner livery. It seemed happier over there. But what's weird to me is that grid penalty over the course of the season. It's like Naughty Nato had, done spitballs in science class and got caught cheating in math, and then I don't know, just like farted in PE or something. And then they just let it add up. And then it's like, okay, you have detention now. You're in trouble. You have to go report to the library and study for an hour, or in the racing standard, you get knocked back 10 places after a damn good qualifying session.
Yeah.
I couldn't find much information as to what those infractions were, but I didn't realize that the drivers had a permanent record that follows them through the season. And if they're naughty enough, they'll get, I guess we saw it with Gunther in, what was it, Tokyo, where he got a 40 place grid penalty. Basically had to not be a driver for a day.
Yeah, they put him into crushing debt.
So we've seen it happen before, but it was just strange to me, the behind the scenes.
Yeah. I mean, this one was significantly more painful than Gunter's, because it's at the start, earlier on in the season, where he's getting thrown back, negative, to infinity. He's getting negative. He's negative on the grid now. Versus this, which is essentially hey, you had a clutch performance in qualifying, kid. That was really awesome of you. Anyway, hey, we're gonna go start you back there with the ERTs, and we'll figure out how you fight your way through the field. It was frustrating, because I feel like if Nato had maybe kept himself in that upper mid pack, he could have been fighting up there with Da Costa, and we've already seen Da Costa and Norman bond, in strategy in Shanghai race 2, where they were working together to build that slipstring and move themselves forward and backwards, up conserving power. But I don't know. It was a struggle. I mean, he beat Jake, but it's not Andretti's ever gonna break up with Jake.
No.
So still not good enough. Excited to get this silly season really crunching.
Yeah.
I'm hungry for it.
Yeah, and speaking of Jake Dennis, he's not going anywhere, but can confirm as handsome in person as he is on TV, on social media. Just a gorgeous man.
I don't know if it was the Andretti Pride donut that I ate that's talking, but that boy was hot.
Yeah. Do you know what a kilowatt hour is? Of course you don't. So head on over to the official Circuit Breaker store and pick up your What the Fuck is a Kilowatt Hour shirt today. Link to the store in the description. See site for details.
I would feel as though we would not be doing justice to this podcast. We talked about Nick Cassidy blowing it a little bit on behalf of Jaguar this weekend. But Dallas, I would not be doing my part as a fake automotive journalist if we didn't talk about the 5-second penalty. Okay. Race 1, Mitch Evans gets into a little bit of contact with Jake Hughes. You see the onboard footage of it, and it's just a race. It to me, 100% racing incident.
Let me reenact that contact with my lips and my microphone. That's all it was.
Yeah.
It was a tiny kiss.
Mitch Evans did not even lose his front wing from the contact.
And we know how easy
like
those
he barely
things
lost the end plate
explode.
on that front wing.
Yeah.
That is a minuscule amount of contact comparatively to just about any other thing that happened this weekend. 5-second penalty, and that shit was thrown out within 5 minutes of that contact. That is crazy. If you are gonna throw someone's championship title out the window, you better do your research on that incident after the race. Frankly, what it felt like is they took Mitch Evans' runner-up medal that they've been planning on giving it to him this whole year. They just skipped it right across the lake and said, "We are in control. This is our championship. If we want it to be crazy, we want it to be crazy. Stop doing well." That's what it felt like. Like, I know tinfoil hat, but like it feels like we're kind of racing in a soap opera. Like, calls are being made almost what it feels like to enhance the drama of the final races in the series. Like Dallas, like in Mario Party, how like the better you do, the more random bullshit the game slaps you down with.
Right.
Like just bah! That's what it felt like for Mitch Evans this weekend. Because Dallas, think about this, right? The stewards did not even bat an eye when Pascal blitzed an entire lap with that fucking wing rattling around under his car like a goddamn carbon fiber pterodactyl. That thing exploded out of his front wheel and like nailed Sam Bird so hard at like 120 miles an hour that it ruined his race. Like, imagine if that carbon fiber piece had like hit him in the head. It would have been a way worse incident than I slightly punctured. Like, Sam Bird's race was over from that. He went a full lap. But Pascal is the next person in line for the championship. So they're like,
no harm, no foul.
Here's what we're going to do. All right. We're going to give Mitch Evans. We gave Mitch Evans that 5-second penalties. We don't want Pascal too far behind in the championship. So we're going to let this one slide. Just say he didn't know. He didn't know that it was down there. Or, like, it's just, it was wild. You see the onboard footage of that wing rattling around underneath that car. It's literally behind the front wheels by the time you see this piece, happening. Like, Pascal had already driven all the way over that wheel, and it was hanging on by cables. And it explodes out and blasts the front of like Sam Bird's car. It's horrifying. Like, if that thing had flown up just a little or flown under Sam Bird's wheels and caused him to skateboard like Nico Muller.
Yep.
Crazy. That's way more reckless than staying straight on my racing line and fucking Hughes moves in front of me slightly and I don't slow down. What? You just blew this kid's potential to lead the championship that he has been a consistent force in every single year for the past 4 years. I'm red right now. I'm red and hot from how mad I am.
If we want to dig into the FIA conspiracy, I'm more than happy to put on my tinfoil hat, because can we talk about Jake Haypenny Hughes for a second?
Confirmed 10 out of 10. Would get a beer with that guy. What a delightful man.
Yeah, I want to make it very clear for those who have been with us from the start. We have clowned not only on Jake Hughes a considerable amount of time, but most all other drivers. Make no mistake, this isn't to mock them or belittle them. We make fun of them because we admire them. And after this weekend, I admire Jake Hughes that much more. So we left the autograph session on the pit lane. They had us like do this weird grass loop, like we were just like dirty peasants and we couldn't walk behind the garages. As we get to the little poles to limit, that passage that they intentionally blocked, fucking Jake Hughes is standing right there. Had a quick chat with us, and super cool dude. Everyone, this is a really cool experience to see all the drivers and just to see how human they are, except Pascal, because we could hear the buzzing of the internal processors going.
Oh man, his autograph was a QR code. It's just wild. I've never seen someone so precisely etch a QR code.
Yeah, it was like a 3D printer.
They say never meet your heroes. We met Jake Hughes, and I've never been more excited.
Now, the only problem is that I'm concerned of is that some Haypenny shenanigans gets his way, and then he's like, wait a second, and then remembers us, and then doesn't want to take another picture. I'd be really disappointed. It's all in good fun. We love everyone.
All right, Dallas, I think we have stalled for this moment long enough. I think we got to get into the championship scenarios. Nice guy, Nick Cassidy, insecurely in the lead, would need to earn more than 113 points, basically P1 in both races, and he has the championship. But needs to earn more than 213 points to be uncontested. That's not easy to do.
No, and
not when people are this hungry. So there is going to be wheel on wheel contact, I'm guessing, throughout the entirety of the XL Arena. It happens every year. So he's got the most stressful track to race close quarters. And he's got a pack of hungry wolves ready to rip into shreds. It is not easy to get P1 in both races unless you're Jake Dennis.
And at the very track where he lost his championship last year, like mentally, what is going to go on trying to get the point total?
He's full on like going to have PTSD like a Vietnam War vet. Like he's going to be wheeling himself out of there in a wheelchair with like a bottle of Jack Daniels if he loses this. It is his championship to lose, and unfortunately, it's becoming ever more real.
Now, for his Jaguar brethren, the second son, potentially second son no more, after this weekend, in order for Mitch Evans to take home the championship, he needs to win both races with either a pole in one or a fastest lap, and nice guy Nick needs to finish lower than P1 in at least one of those races. That's the contingency for Mitch to be the top Jaguar, the top Kiwi.
And Pascal, not going to be an easy one for him. But he can win both races, secure pole position or fastest lap. Frankly, I feel like if Pascal were to get pole, that would probably be his yellow brick road to the championship. I feel like he would have a much easier time winning if he had pole. So, frankly, he should be, and Porsche should be, looking at how do we get him on pole. But winning both races, and nice guy Nick cannot win. He cannot win a race, essentially, and he's in the shot. But what the math equations come out to that being for the rest of it's anyone's game. But nice guy Nick cannot win. Pascal has to win.
Yeah, just to note, both Mitch Evans and Pascal are tied in points with 155. Yeah. So their scenarios are basically identical.
That's true. But one of them has to get on pole or else they're fucked, because Pascal cannot get through a grid. He gets way too anxious. His circuits fry with the amount of decision making that comes from it, and you get exactly what you saw, where he runs an entire race essentially with a razor blade, a katana under his car, ready to fly into his nearest neighbor.
Yeah. Now moving on to his human counterpart at Porsche, and we're just going to start to get a little wild on these scenarios. But Antonio Felix da Costa has been on fire. He needs to go nuclear in these last two races for a shot to win and for us to get throttle dampening springs encased in epoxy and resin and get him to sign it at some race in the future. He needs to win both races, which he just did in Portland. He did half of in Shanghai, and he also needs to do fastest lap and pole in both of those races. He basically needs to gobble up all of the points. In addition to that, nice guy Nick has to score less than 24 points. So the scenario of that is if Nick Cassidy gets P4 in one race, P6 in another, one pole and one fastest lap, Dak's chances are gone. Now with Mitch and Pascal, a little bit more points that they would need to secure to block Antonio from taking the championship. They need to score more than 36 points. That scenario is a P2, a P3, a pole, and a fastest lap, to name one of many potential scenarios for Antonio to win the championship.
Now, I wanna mind you this, right? So point totals. So Nick Cassidy, 24 points. That is 2 fourth places, or anything above 4th place, and then 4th place. That's stressful. 24 points can be made up essentially any place 6th and up pretty confidently in 2 races. So best case scenario is no points first race, and then it has to be a win.
Yep.
Which, you know what? If you have a risky team, maybe you just program Pascal with an unpredictable dive bomb maneuver,
self-destruct protocol.
But you get a crash gate reality from an unsporting code, but which Porsche is already FIA's worst enemy for no reason at all. But now, Dallas, we thought that this was out the window. There was no chance. But there is a chance that Oliver fucking Rowland, our father, he's got to win a race. Minimum P2 in another. 1 pole. Now, this would essentially require a double dookie DNF from Nice Guy Nick, which would hands down be the diarrhea no finish of the season. If he managed to fucking peanut butter those shorts 2 races in a row at the end of the championship, we're going to get him to sign a diaper next year. But we also got to keep Mitch and Pascal under 16 points apiece. That's not easy. Those boys know how to race. And we got to keep Da Costa under 24 points, which, frankly, none of us want. So, Ollie's got his work cut out for him, but frankly, I want him on the podium at the end of this year. And can you imagine how amazing it would be if Oliver Rowland could put down on his resume 2nd or 3rd in the Formula E World Championship Season 10?
Yeah, throw it on a business card, on a LinkedIn profile. Almost Formula E World Champion. That'd
be something else. Now, Dallas, we're getting a little bit more to the end of the weeds. These ones are not realistic, but
still
crazy
potential.
Things have happened. Mm-hmm. Nick DeVries managed to win a world championship somehow, and that was truly because every single person with a shot managed to blow it on the last race.
Yep.
In fact, Eduardo Mortara blew it straight into the back of Mitch Evans, last I recall.
So don't count these guys out.
So
Jean-Eric Verne, he is currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the standings. 6 drivers through, 129 points. Had a good showing in that first round in Portland. Did he pole? He poled and then podiumed. Either way, he's been putting up numbers, but he is going to have to dig deep into his veteran bag of tricks to pull out. Oh, this be his 3rd championship. Is he the only driver to two-time it?
He's the only driver to two-time it. That's right.
So to go for 3, he needs to win both races and get fastest lap and pole in both races. Again, all the points again. Nice Guy Nick can't score more than 19. Mitch and Pascal can't score more than 31. Dak can't score more than 52. And Daddy Rowland can't score more than 55 points. I mean, we are getting into long shot territory here.
Wait a fucking second. How come for Oliver Rowland, nice guy Nick, can't score more than 2 points. But Jeff can score fucking 19.
Because I got access to part of Pascal.exe's chat interface, and I had Pascal.exe generate this, so it might not be completely accurate.
The fuck, Dallas? You fucking with me right now, man.
This is what Pascal.exe
Oliver
said.
Rowland's got a way better shot than we thought. What the fuck? Oliver Rowland sits ahead of John Eric Verne.
You know what it might have been then? It might have been just not 2 points, but instead it would be 21 points.
Yeah, that's what it fucking is.
It's not 2 points, though.
Now I look like a goddamn clown. Don't use ChatGPT to do algorithmic equations anymore. I was wondering why when I was reading this it didn't make any goddamn sense.
It's because the time of AI isn't here yet. Look at this.
Well, I don't know, dude. Pascal's got probably a much better shot than whatever this thing predicted.
Probably, but we're not journalists, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Win both race to secure pole one or fast. Like, no.
Okay, so look. It was just a typo. It's accurate. 21 points. I had a typo. And this is nice guy Nick. This is what Pascal.exe told me.
You make me sick. I'm just kidding.
All right.
I'm just kidding. I love you, Dallas.
Tell me about the flawed, potentially inaccurate scenario for Jake fucking Dennis.
The fact that you almost lied through your teeth.
I just do what it tells me. Lied
straight to me. Like you had sat down. I remember seeing this. I was like, this is actually pretty impressive. Now I understand the dark realities. This wasn't a spreadsheet. This is a couple of parameters plugged into ChatGPT.
It's not ChatGPT. It's Pascal.exe. I'm training it, okay? Even with the potential flaws, it's a work in progress. Tell me about the mostly grain of salt accuracy for Jake Dennis's chances.
Jake Dennis is not looking hot. Nice guy Nick can't score more than 12 points. That's hard. Mitch and Pascal can't score more than 24 points. That's even harder. That means we're going to have like an ERT Mahindra apt podium essentially from 10 to 1 where Jake has to be in the front and Da Costa would need to score 45 points. Rowland again, yeah, I don't know about the math on this stuff. It's not all looking super cute, but basically a lot of stuff from the people that win a lot can't happen, and Jake needs to ride the surf of chaos in order to make this happen.
Yeah, he's got to hang 10 on those giant swells in Portugal like a fucking madman.
Yeah.
If he wants a repeat.
Yeah, I think that the real Cinderella story that's going on here would be Da Costa managing to just punt it right in and stick it down. Like, I have a lot of hope that Pascal could win this championship, but there's something about his programming that, like, I don't trust on track when, like, those risky decisions need to be made, when that really clutch moment needs to happen. He doesn't quite have it in the way that Da Costa has it. And I think that Da Costa would 100% throw away the championship to get Pascal to win it. But at that point, I don't think Pascal deserves it. You know, like if Da Costa is literally throwing away his chance in order to get Pascal to win it, that's just Porsche trying a little too hard for their investment. Yeah. Yeah, it's a favorite child syndrome, which DaCosta. I mean, let us remind you all that DaCosta was almost going to lose his race seat after freaking Mazzano. Like he was on the verge of being cut mid-season, and now he could potentially be the specific key to unlocking Pascal's like championship trophy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it just sits weird with me in some ways, but I do think that Pascal is an absolutely incredible driver. I just have not seen him step up when the pressure's on in the way that DaCosta like will just find, the part in the clouds and that ray of sunshine strikes him and he just wins.
Well, let's talk about London a little bit. What are your predictions for the final two races of the season for ERT?
Ooh, I'm gonna send it down. I'm gonna send it out with a bang. I think overpower. I think overpower. Just as the final nail in the coffin for their career hopes. Yeah, that's it. Basically, DNF overpower on both drivers.
Just a fizzle on a wild ride.
Yeah, it's I'm going to be honest. It is a not nearly an energy intensive race like Portland is, and I think that's where they're going to suffer. Is the fact that they've gotten so used to getting it right down to zero on these energy hungry races that they're going to absolutely botch it on a fucking simple track.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be wishful, and I'm just gonna say zeros. I think they got something to it.
Hey, if we're lucky, they're scoring P2, P3, and absolutely giving DaCosta the win.
Yeah, the ideal scenario. Now let's talk about London here quick before we get out of here and prepare for this race. First off, schedule was announced last week or a couple weeks ago, and London will be on the calendar next year. But after that, it doesn't look promising. I was reading that Silverstone is creating reorganizing, or the organizers are trying to reorganize the track to be more appealing to a Formula E car. So potentially Silverstone as a destination in Great Britain in 2026 and beyond.
I hate this. Like, straight up, I hate this idea. I don't want to go to Silverstone for Formula E, because it's the same issue that they're going to do with the Homestead Miami.
Yep.
Like, it could be an absolutely great circuit, but it's taking the track away from the fans. Yep. Like, it's getting away from the roots of what the series is kind of about. And the idea of going to Silverstone too is just going to be high price tickets, like struggle to get to and from, and an inaccessible venue. And maybe that's like truly the best option they have at this point with XL going down. So I don't know. I don't like it though. I would rather than just take a bye year in London, or find something that they could put together that is more accessible to fans to navigate. But I hope that Silverstone is not the landing pad of Formula E in the future, for London, or for the UK in general.
Yeah, I knew you were going to be critical of that when I read that. But here's one thing that you can celebrate. The powers that be are working, and there hasn't been anything announced yet, but they're working on getting the broadcast in the UK of the London E-Prix, the final two rounds, more accessible to UK viewers, because they've been absolutely reamed with their TV laws. You have to have a license, like you have to have a license to drive in, you have to have a license to watch TV. So they're trying to do, I don't know if it's going to be like public access TV, but it's a Formula E broadcast. I have no idea, but they're trying to make it happen so they can actually broadcast to the league's home fans. That's where the league's based out of. That's where basically every single team is based out of. So I hope that happens for our UK friends that have just been discouraged from the series because there's no way that they can watch it, or in protest of like, I'm not going to pay for this. I like the sport. I think it's novel. I think it's cool, but fuck that. I'll just watch highlights on YouTube and Instagram. So there is that
you guys have struggled enough over this past year to watch and enjoy this season at all. And it has been a fantastic season. I will say this as someone who has literally turned on a Roku and watched it every single race. Like, I have never felt more spoiled. And to know that, like, people that have probably invested and valued in this racing series, like in their backyards, for much longer, to be basically financially punished to watch this stuff, it doesn't sit right. So you guys, you deserve this. This is the least Formula E can do for you all before they steal all your money throwing Formula E to Silverstone. Like, I don't know what their issue is. It's like, come on.
Hey,
take care of your fans.
Yeah, damn it. And then lastly, you did mention they are potentially going to be testing some fast charge.
Yeah, they're going to set the XL Arena on fire.
So,
and
look for
what a perfect time to test our new experimental charging options than the last race of the season when the batteries are at their weakest. Let's just blow these cars up and see what else we can ruin. Like, what the fuck are they thinking? I'm being very critical tonight of everyone. I've had a long day. The last thing I want to do is burn down the XL Arena with an unquenchable car fire.
That, and there'll probably be a tire-sized black hole that forms in that paddock with a wormhole attached to it and a portal to a different time and a different dimension.
Yeah, I mean, this is canonically the race that sends Haypenny Hughes back in time. Like,
this is part
the
of his
London race. This is part of the cycle. Like, this is where he cut his teeth in the streets of London. It's now literally the platform of the paddock for the XL Arena. Like, he's closing his loop.
It's the coal cave.
Yeah.
Everyone at the race, everyone tuning in locally on the broadcast is going to be on that frequency. It's just going to be in the blink of an eye set back. It's going to be raining ash and coal from the sky. There's going to be cobblestone
and there's just going to be a smoldering pile of orange coveralls. Geez, man.
I'm going to say it right now before we get the season preview next year. Formula E marketing team, please use that idea. Have some coal worker in 19th century industrial era London working away and then get jolted into the future. Do it. It aligns right with how you guys do your stuff with promoting seasons.
Dallas, I mean, hey, look, Dallas is looking for some work right now. You send it his way. Exactly. Like, honestly, he's great with ChatGPT.
That's where I get all my ideas. All right. Well, we have some news stories that we were going to get to, but we ran over some time, so we will get to those on the next episode, most likely on the tail of the London ePrix and Season 10. Taylor, with that in mind, do you have any closing thoughts, comments?
Oh, my God. You know what? It was an exhausting weekend. So thank you all for listening. Really, really wish you all got a chance. If you made it out to the Portland ePrix, let us know what you thought of it. we just had a blast. So that's it.
There you have it.
That's it. That's where I'm at.
Well, the only thing left is to plug all of our shit, Instagram and YouTube at Circuit Breakers Pod. And shout out to It's Tricky on SoundCloud. He came up with our dope ass intro and outro music. You can find his SoundCloud link in the description. Taylor, I will see you in the 1800s.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't get dysentery on the way to Florida, but we'll do our best.
It's going to be in the butthole. You called it. All right, brother. Yeah, that does it. See you next time.